Alright, check, 1, 2, 3. Alright, check, 1, 2. Easy freezy, you'll take this as a reminder to paint your Space Marines. That's a good idea. Also, thanks for coming. Hello. I decided to just do all the link promotion first in the quiet part of the stream before I talk and then test the mic. See if that just has a better flow to it. Alright, well with that done, we can lower. Alright. I need to adjust the background light, it's bugging me just a bit. Yeah, that just looks a bit better. You know me, always caring about the aesthetics. Well, first things first, we got the extra burpee juice today. I had one way earlier in the day, so it's extra spicy. Having 2 Cokes in one day, you know. Let's reset the burp counter. No, we don't need to put 0, just blank is fine. And I was futzing around with the volume of the music a little bit here. Okay, let's let me know how that sounds. Welcome, Country Fried Minis. Thank you for coming. There's a crispy can crack for you. Okay. Glad you're hobbying too. Always happy to be a conduit of productivity. Alright, I don't think there's anything else I need to take care of before we get to P3 armor washing. I'm kind of just in denial of my local supply of this has run out and like I'm using it for an army, but I'm just kind of confident that like, well, I can probably find a black wash that's close enough. The 100 Kingdoms are like multicolored anyways, so if things have a different, slightly different shade wash, like whatever, it's just lore accurate. Country Fried Minis, you have sorry, Windows updates tell me they need a restart. How about you sawed off, mate? I hope that's not a swear or anything. Okay. What's your gunpla question, Country Fried Minis? You have a super serious gunpla question? What high grade kit would make people the most mad if they killed it with a hammer at the end of a build? Oh my god, what a question is that? What high grade kit would make people the most mad? I mean, if you're rage baiting people, you want to use an expensive high grade, I guess. I don't know, if it's like... Maybe some people, if you crushed the like $12 high grade GOG, some people would be mad because the GOG kind of looks like a... It kind of has that cute round shape to it, you know? I wonder if I can make this window a little bigger. Well, I could probably just do this. Alright. And so we have these two, which I finished blocking the pre-black wash onto. And I think I explained in the last stream how this is like actually a janky leg of an arms master when this is a noble lord model. Also the head is a household knight. But the legs are different and it's janky. I could have asked for a replacement part, but I just didn't want to wait, and I was like, you know what, I think I can just brute force this with putty to work. This is like an OP kit model that's technically not from the 100 Kingdoms, but like fits in well enough. A cool mercenary paymaster captain type one. there is something poetic about creating something beautiful and then destroying it. And then we've finished blocking in all the pre-armor wash colors for all these pointy boys, so we're also going to wash them. And after all these are washed, I'll probably move to some color blocking and on some of the other interesting kit bashes in this batch. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so you can't see all of them. There's 7 of these. So 9 models we're gonna wash out of the batch. There's a lot more than 9 in the batch. Maybe 9 is, okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. There's 11 in the other batch. So it's a batch of 20. Nice even number, that wasn't even planned. I could also say that a high grade that people will be mad destroying is like the Grandpa Gundam, like any kind of RX-78, unless it's like a really bad one people don't like anyways. Because, you know, that's just like the Luke Skywalker of Gundam. Sorry if that's a bad analogy. Alright, just had to adjust the chair there. Let's put the armor wash in this part of the palette. Probably should decide which brush I want to use before I put this on the palette. Definitely... See, all the base coat, the non-metallic base coat colors that I might not want to get the wash on, I'm gonna like kind of be going over them with the base color again anyways, so maybe this, I think this brush could work, but to be safe we're gonna go with just one step down, but also a brush that is like pretty ass, for lack of a better term. Alright, let's try it and just get into the zone. Hopefully things stay in focus. I think I need to lower my chair just a little bit, sorry for the tease. Should start at the top. I want to work not too fast, but fast enough that I don't, that I can catch pooling before it starts to dry. So there are kind of like edges I can work within. And there is an alternate timeline where I use a brown wash on this red instead. But you know, I can always change my mind and add that later if I want. This bit of red will be easy enough to correct or clean up. It's pretty isolated. And of course, a lot of the armor and the helmet on this model. Also, side note, for the household guard heads, I like sometimes I like vaguely put a flesh color in there. But like, I ain't painting the eyeballs in there, are you kidding me? Yeah, all the armor details and like helmet details are really just asking to be washed. You know, armor wash, it just makes sense. Trying to avoid the cape where I can, but it'll be easy enough to clean up after if I mess up. Burp one, that's a big one that felt like 2 burps. Whew. Excuse me. I should update the burp counter. I will in a moment. Also, because one of the legs is just the wrong leg, like the fur coat trails down onto the thigh, but then just not on the other thigh. Very cool. There's gotta be some lore explanation for that, right? This, the Squire packed the wrong armor. Or he packed all the right armor except for one leg plate. He forgot it. I gotta work pretty fast on this leg because I think I slopped a bit too much on. But I gotta make sure I connect all sides of it before any drying lines start to form. I think that's what the technical term would be. Borders, perhaps? If I get a bit onto the base, probably won't really be able to tell because it has a very similar wash on it already. And if you can tell, I can always cover it up with grass later. Also, I hope this is staying in focus. I think I clumped a little bit on the chest here. We're gonna have to tidy that up later with some individual brushing, perhaps. I don't know if you can tell. I'm kind of able to brush it away, actually. Just have to see what that looks like when it dries. Maybe it'll look just like give enough of that grizzled veteran vibe that this model's given me, you know, like kind of an old man puts on the fur coat, goes out to battle, be like, here we go again. But doesn't have to be an old man. I guess he's got a helmet on. He is either way though, he is a short king. Lord Short King. Or Sir Short King. There's some like obvious Shrek Farquaad jokes, but you know, this is part of my army and I don't want them to be a bad guy like Lord Farquaad. Lord Farquaad is cringe. All my homies hate Lord Farquaad. And it kind of feels a little redundant to paint the sword scabbard black, but like, I kind of want the metal wash next to it so it matches everything, and same can be said for the scabbard. Yeah, this sculpt has been pretty fun to paint so far, actually. I've been enjoying it more than I thought I would. Yeah, the leg there, it looks a little too clumped for my taste. Maybe I'll fix it later, maybe not. Ooh, I do want to do the inside of the cape just a little bit because there is a bit of a border. Actually, it might be better if I just leave it because I don't think I spilled any on. I mean, I spilled some onto the edge there with the gray, but you can't really see it, so. Okay, let's just call that one done for now. I'll move on to the mercenary captain. Let's start by washing the box. Are you talking about you love his helmet, are you talking about the knight helmet? The red one? I guess that's probably the one you're talking about, the one I'm holding now. It's more of a hat. But it's still got like metal cheek plates, so it's a fairly sturdy hat. And moving right on from the box onto the feet and calves. There I go, putting too much on the shin guard again. We just gotta mop that up into the pants, which have quite a lot of recessed detail to get all wet. Whoops, I brushed a bit onto the... Okay, well that's an excuse. We can still wipe this up while it's wet enough. Alright. Crisis averted. Yeah, this armor is very craggly or chipped. So it's taking the wash well. And the pants also just have like lots of ridges to them. Yeah, this is the type of painting that may be the hardest to keep up with chat with, because it's, you kind of gotta pay attention until it's all on there, and you've eliminated as much pooling as you can. The pooling you don't want anyway. Sometimes you want a little bit of pooling, you know? Suppose there's like you know, we got our batch within a batch of pile of models right in front of me, so there's a natural break point in between each mini to catch up on chat with, either way, or you know, at the very least. Good evening, Cup de Jello. Thanks for coming. Welcome to the stream. I am applying armor wash to armor and some other non-armor things. I'm sorry, I don't know how long the camera was out of focus there. I neglected to paint the hilt of this sword. We will need to paint that red later. Also, I spilled a bit onto the hand, which maybe I shouldn't have done there. But perhaps I can just wipe most of it away. Well, if we're gonna have to paint the hilt there anyways, let's face it, we're gonna have to redo the hand. Which is gonna be a bit of a pain considering the mystery mix that paint is. But if I have to redo all the skin on this base coat, it's not really a big deal because there's only a bit that shows. Alright, almost done this, lad. Sword needs a pretty thick dose of wash. And it kind of pools in these diamond areas very, very easily, but we will sponge that out, especially when we need to finish filling out this piece at the end. If anyone's familiar with the new line of Valley Joe paints from Spain, store I work at just got in their new True Metallic Metal series. And boy, howdy, those things. So I'm just trying to talk like Country Fried Minis because they're here. They've been selling like hotcakes at the store. As in, they're pretty much, or they're not pretty much, they're almost all gone, especially the sets, the like 4-packs. Alright, this one, the wash is complete for now. Although, no, I could do the bag. Yeah, I'm gonna do the bag just a little bit. If it needs to look more brown later, we can just slop more brown wash on it. Sometimes brown wash over brown just isn't enough, you know? Pretty easy to fix this later. I would say I need to look at a reference image, but I don't think there's an official paint job for this. I could look at a reference image like an actual water skin, I suppose. Well, welcome to your first stream, Cup to Jello. I didn't realize this was your first time. Liquid Shadows and exactly Country Fried Minis. Yeah, Cup to Jello, you've been gunplaying for 2 months and you just recently picked up some Space Marines. Nice. The size brushes I use the most, my workhorse brushes, are like size 2 and size 1 rounds. My ideal painting brush for non-metallic and non-washes paint, like my workhorse acrylic brush, is like a Winsor Newton Sable round 2 size 2 brush, or like a comparable Sable brush. But for general sizes, size, oh, that was a terrible attempt at burping while talking. Size 2 is like, if I had to pick one. Well, you can't really pick one brush for painting models and miniatures, but like if I could pick 2 brushes, it'd be a size 1 and a size 2. Okay. Burp counter. I think we're at 2 now. You know, very important. Okay, now I'm gonna get back to actually painting. And we're not really doing the... I've just kind of blocked in the darkest blues here. We do kind of need to do the ice on the back. But we're gonna do that when there's less wet, sloppy wash on the brush. Just to save us a bit of time when it comes to finishing those blue capes. There'll just be a bit less cleanup to do. Which, as much as I always plan for having a cleanup stage, sometimes it's good to like avoid having to do the cleanup, you know? And it's more important to get proper coverage with the wash and to like the border areas to define the details a bit more, because some of the details can be a little squishy on these models, as I've heard people describe them before. And of course the plate armor on these lads in there, all the detail in there is excellent for washing. Flat brushes are good for dry brushing and stuff. A lot of the time, like, you'll get some solid flat brushes in, like, just Vallejo or Valley Joe starter packs. Like, a lot of miniature gaming starter packs are, like, or miniature hobby painting starter packs are, like, actual pretty solid places to start with, and most of them come with one chisel brush. You can also, like, for dry brushes, like, the stuff you can get from the dollar store for super cheap is, like, acceptable for a lot of use cases. So I always recommend getting some cheap brushes, both for dry brushing and also, like, paint scooping and paint mixing. Get some cheapos from the dollar store, use those for all the messy, sloppy stuff that you don't need to be precise with. So then your nice brushes won't get dirty. And they'll hold their nice tips longer. And you'll save money because you'll need to get less brushes. And your painting experience will be more enjoyable because your brushes will stay nicer longer. You know what I'm saying? I just slopped way too much wash on this helmet there. The helmets have, like, you know, some pretty smooth domes on this unit. But you still need to make sure there's enough on it to, like, bring out the ridges that are there. Yeah, definitely forgot to paint the tassel on this one, but, you know, we're finishing the blue after this, and that part's easy enough to just paint within the lines with later. Hopefully I don't say that now and then mess it up on stream later. I'm not sure how many more of the 100 Kingdoms streams are going to feature the Household Guard, because I feel like I've done a decent amount of them with the Household Guard. Yeah, so, like, areas on the top of the foot here, I let it pool too much and now it's dry, so we're gonna have to clean that up later. But there's usually, like, especially with models with such curved edges and flat surfaces, I often, or maybe I pretty much always have a stage where I just clean up the areas that got overly washed on the metallics. Maybe not every single project, but far fewer that I don't do that in. Yeah, when I say like slop and wash onto people, I feel like I always describe it as being just like a super easy step, but like doing it properly does take like a little bit of elbow grease, to use a weird expression. And especially this shoulder pad here, very important, all the details get washed properly. Alright, now to do the jewelry on the cape, or whatever you call this. Jewelry, bling, ice, drip. Drip is more for clothing though, I think. If I'm getting my lingo right. think that one's done now. Yeah. Yeah, I basically do that cup to Jello. I dedicate certain brushes to certain tasks. What? But it's like super broad, like varies many by many. Generally, the rule I follow is if I'm doing something messy, I want to use the crappiest brush I can get away with. And what was the other rule? Something about crappiest brush. And then a rule that applies just in general all the time is like I would use is the biggest brush that I think I can get away with. And if it's like go time, try hard mode, then it's like, okay, we need to grab an extra nice brush where I won't be thinking about like how it doesn't have a fine tip when I'm trying to do like the precise work I need to. But truth is, that doesn't happen super often. I just realized I didn't do the halberd on this person, so let's just get that done real quick. Kind of just trying to hit around the edges so it does the shading, but I don't want to get it too much on the blade because that'll just be a streak. Alright, that's acceptable, except on the bottom it's pooling a bit too much. That was just a burp of correction. Also burp of the third. Thought I'd have to put more wash on, but maybe not yet. Wash on the palette, that is. Oh, and we are shooting for the usual 2-hour stream length again. I just got into the zone with this armor, or this arm specifically. The details are just, everything just went exactly right, you know? I just locked in. One thing that I don't mind revealing to like just the few people that are watching is I think last night I settled on what my next Gunpla project is going to be. The question is whether I'll have time to get it ready for the contest at Odafest in 2026, May. Because I'm going to have a decent amount on my plate on top of what I was already hoping to get painted. But if I don't do it for Otafest, I'll do it eventually. I don't think it's time to like actually reveal any visuals for it yet. That's got to happen on Patreon first. And I'm not gonna do that until I'm like actually decided on whether I'm gonna try and get it ready for May or not. And when I say ready, I don't mean like having a video for it. Like I'll probably film at least some of the process if I give a crap enough about it. But the goal will be getting it painted in time for Otafest in May. That'll be more important than getting a video out. But it's like I can always shoot the footage and do stuff with it later. I got the storage space. Years of working as a photographer. Let me tell you about my SD card collection. People think Warhammer is an expensive hobby. Try being into camera gear. Maybe, I think they probably work out to about similar prices at the end though, depending on what kind of wargaming you engage with. Is music still playing? Oh yeah, it's just in a very quiet spot. Let's just go to the next one. What part of this haven't we done? We haven't done the halberd or the arm. Yeah, we should probably do the back too. Maybe we might have to put on more wash on the palette before then. Let's do the weapon. The hardest part for the camera to focus on. Alright, let's just take this moment to put some more on the palette. Let it dry a bit too much on that leg there. Or let it pool a bit too much, I should say. Alright, now I mostly just have the arm. Excuse me for burping for the 4th time this stream. I was just saying that out loud so I remember to update the counter. Alright. And now just the shoulder pad. Another one of these kind of gate knocker eyes. And yes, there's a spot that I didn't clean up, or a nub that I didn't clean up on the ring. And we're not going to talk about it. Why did I even bring it up? This is going to be blending into... How many of the... There's gonna be 6 stands total. One of them's a command stand, so 4 times... This is 1 of 20. And, I mean, not all 20 have the same cool shoulder pad, but a few of them do. Okay. Sorry, I bumped the mic there. Looks like we need a camera reset. And this one's got a lot of exposed chest details to be washed. I can see all the wash splashing onto my hand there. For those of you who caught any of the previous streams, I tried to adjust the balance of audio a bit more this time. Let me know if you think if I went in the right direction or not. So I am painting Conquest right now, but I did read about some non-Conquest games this past week. I mostly read through my copy of Harefoot Jousting by Joseph McCullough, which is a miniature agnostic jousting game, except instead of knights on horses, it's halflings and goblins riding things like geese, giant weasels, porcupines, sheep. It's pretty good. And then, yeah, exactly. Gotta love a good washing country fried minis. And then something completely different from Harefoot Jousting. I also finally got around to reading the rules for Halo Flashpoint. The thing that I came out of the streaming hiatus to work on, which I'll be getting back to eventually. For a long time now, it's been bugging me that my 100 Kingdoms army was not fully painted, or I didn't have like a fully painted list to the same extent that I did for the spires. I could have integrated that better. Puh. Like my spires fully painted 2000 list didn't require like too many upgrades to actually hit 2000 points, but my 100 Kingdoms list, especially after the update last year, couldn't really even, it could like get to 1950 or something, or maybe like it could get up to 1965 at the absolute top. So one goal I definitely want to get done, hopefully early next year, is to like have a fully painted 2100 Kingdoms list that like isn't so jank that I need to like take every most expensive upgrade to actually hit 2000 points. Then I'll have like 2 armies that are fully painted to that extent, which is someone who runs a lot of demos and likes to document things a lot. That's like gonna feel like a real nice milestone to reach. Because also when I get the 100 Kingdoms list painted to that extent, that's an excuse / maybe an obligation to just have a big old battlefield photo shoot with all the painted spires and the paint 100 Kingdoms. Shoot some B-roll and decide what to do with it later. Shoot a new wallpaper or 2. Bunch of HD images. That's like a full day of shooting though. Lots of hunching over the table. Gotta plan ahead a bit for that. You know, this halberd is not washed, or is not dry brushed to the same extent as the other ones. And that's a problem to worry about later. Some interesting details on the back of this cape. Or they probably didn't paint it this way in the box art, but I was like, what if these were just like little soft metal plates at the back of your cape to weigh it down? Is there some tactical advantage to that? Felt like that one went a bit faster. Yeah, once this washing is done, I will take a quick stretch break and go change the paint water and get back to the old wet palette. We're gonna be blocking in colors for some of the fancy retinue veteran officer kit bashes we got. Uh-oh, don't burn that pizza, Country Fried Minis. My stream can wait, please. It's more important for you to get that pizza. I could go for some pizza right now. I did eat dinner, but just thinking about the pizza got me all pizza brain now. The last song was pretty quiet. I hope the classical music didn't just hit you like a train there. It did for me a little bit. Yeah, this part in the knee, I can kind of, there was like a line there from a pool drawing, but I kind of got it in time, sorta. We'll truly see when it's fully dry. I can't remember if this is how I blocked out this particular head sculpt on the other ones I painted. I think so. It's so hard to like get the right amount of wash on the heads where it, like the dome bit just really likes to pool in undesirable ways. Whereas this kind of shoulder pad takes it much nicer. I wonder how much easier or worse this wash would be to work with if I was going over a gloss coat. That is a step much unnecessary when it comes to batch painting infantry, though, in my opinion. Let's get the spots on the back of the cape. Oh shoot, I missed the whole side of the foot. Alright, now just got the halberd. Three to go. Probably should add a bit more wash to the old palette. It's a good thing after the batch of 20 I'm working on now, maybe I'll have a break project in between, but the batch of 20 right now isn't going to finish the 100 Kingdoms list as I want it, because we're going to have another batch after of the longbows, which are going to be like a light ranged unit with the same greens that the Ranger Corps got. Lots of shared bits between those two. But those ones, they aren't really going to use the armor wash at all. Actually, we might have to use it on a few little bits, but it won't be a lot. They're more, because they've got lots of like cloth and leather, they more get an army painter strong tone. One of my favorite washes for years. Done me quite good. Army painter strong tone. That burp wasn't in a sentence. That was burp 6. Very good. I guess we gotta do the back of the helmet. And of course, my messy job of cleaning up the nub that's right on the head. Not great nub placement, by the way. This first gen Conquest model. And of course my bad cleanup of the nub placement, because I had to do a lot of these guys. Lets the wash pool in it, which is like not what you want. That's regiment painting for you. Results so worth it though. Even if you half-ass it. When you do it on enough minis, you reach like a kind of critical mass, you know? A greater of the sum of its parts critical mass. Oh, we got another one of these gatehouse face shoulder pads. One that I actually cleaned up the nub on properly. Okay, gotta do the halberd now. Okay, gotta do this whole leg, and then let's do the backcut cloak now. Nice stripe can just get the whole wash there. We want this brown to have the wash that's different than the fur above, because we use the same brown, but they are different materials, so it helps to make them look a little more different. Right, leg time. Sometimes I think I should remove this song from the playlist because it just, the vibe totally changes up. But other times it's like, sometimes it's just the burst of energy you need. Alright, just a few spots on the other leg. Definitely a gear shift, Country Fried Minis, yeah. Alright, this one's done. Almost time for a little break. Almost out of Coke. If I was to have a third Coke after this, that'd be some lunatic behavior, let me tell you. We ain't going that crazy tonight. We got work tomorrow. It's a Tuesday. And this one we just felt like starting at the legs. Yeah, I think I'm pretty settled in my method of like, yes, I have a batch of 20 minis, but I don't like painting 20 minis all at the same time. That's too grueling of a batch, so it's actually like a batch of 8 and then a batch of 11 or something. Or I just kind of like plod along and switch between them all willy-nilly until they're all sort of done eventually. True Mayhem style, am I right? There are some details on the chest that kind of look like they're leather straps, but I might have just left them as is. On the other minis, I should check, but I think you can definitely get away with just leaving them. It kind of just blends in as like more armor detail on top of like all the stuff that's already there. Oh yeah, the new Total War Warhammer 3 DLC is out. It's not bad. Buying the DLC is a much less painful now that it's split into 3. So like for the one that just came out, I only wanted to play the new Slaanesh characters, so I only had to pay a third of the price because I only bought the Slaanesh part of the DLC. Which really should have been the case from the beginning with such a DLC heavy game that is Total War Warhammer 3. But you know, we had to get streaming today, so that is not installed on the computer. Sometimes the only way to stop the procrastinating is just to uninstall Total War. The Slaanesh are pretty fun, as always. A little not safe for work, though, especially with the new mount they have, the Beast of Slaanesh, I believe it's called. It's the tit snake, you know? The classic Warriors of Chaos champion of Slaanesh riding the tit snake. Alright, last guy. Regrettably, it looks like we do need just one last little squirt of the armor wash onto the palette. Just one more to be sure. Can't really put any back in here after, so I don't want to put too much out. And yeah, it's even this 9 models, washing these 9 models has been fairly tedious, so my point about what I was saying about batch painting models earlier is reinforced. Consider it reinforced as I talk into the void. I don't know if I like this background track. I think this is one of the more recent ones I added. Burp 7? Yes. Sorry, that was probably very gross sounding for some of you. You know, the Coke Zero, it helps me paint faster, what can I say? If you absolutely hate burps, I hate to say it, but this might not be the YouTube channel for you. And especially when it's an infantry unit of like pikes. When you got a bunch of them all painted and ranked up, it looks really cool. All those long sticks pointing out like a hedgehog. Yeah, maybe we do legs last on this guy. The color on this wash, yeah, it kind of almost feels like there's this very, very slight purple tinge, but sometimes it's hard to say. But I really like how kind of desaturated it makes the armor look after, like, it's gold, but it's like a subtle gold, like we're not we're not flexing too much, you know? Okay, didn't do the helmet, gotta do that. And the strip at the bottom of the cape, cloak, whatever you call it. I think it's more cape-like in this instance. Alright. We did it. We've washed all the models for tonight. I'm just gonna get out the minis that we're gonna work on for the rest of the stream, and then I'm gonna paint the or change the paint water so we can re-moisten the wet palette. Just give me a moment as I slot these back into their tray. Alright, we're definitely gonna work on this. This is like a very minor kit bash, which I've shown off before. And then we definitely want to work on these two kit bashes that are both Steel Legion bodies. They have the exact same pants and chest armor, so we definitely gotta switch up the way we do the color blocking on these so they're different enough. And we got this one, which is also a Steel Legion body, different chest but the same leg. So again, the point about switching up the colors. And I think we're just gonna stick to those for tonight's session. So I'm going to go refill the paint, or like change into clean paint water, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. You can kind of look at these guys and see a nice dried wash. The wash truly comes together in the best way though when you apply a matte varnish to it after. That's the secret. Not really a secret, but you know what I mean. Alright, wet palette. come hither. You must be re-moistened. Try and do this in a way that shows the technique, I suppose. I'm sure, well, I know that the Army Painter wet palette is pretty common. So perhaps people can learn things from how I re-moisten the wet palette and not just applying the paint to the model. If anyone's looking for a good board game recommendation for this holiday season, I learned Harmonies today. Very good. It's kind of like a yellowy box with a lion, like a stylized lion artwork on it. Another good one I played recently was a co-op game called Subterra. Alright, I think that's moist enough for now. And I think I want to start with red. I was looking at this side too much, actually. This corner could use a bit more water. Just gotta be careful about it. Yeah, almost put too much on there. I'm kind of, the paper here's a little wrinkly, so I'm just trying to like smooth it out. Okay, let's see. Yeah, we've got red on one of them already. So I think we're gonna finish the red on the others, which our base for red is Game Color Terracotta. Needs a little bit of a shake. Still some kind of wrinkles in the paper there. It's probably because I like leave the paper too long before I change it, as many of you know me for. And we can switch to a more precise brush, but we're not going to use the nicest brush yet, especially for the ones that don't have much else on. Okay. So we know that this is not gonna be white because we gotta make sure these are different. Maybe we could do red, and then the ribbons can be red on this guy. Because for like the medium units and light units in my 100 Kingdoms army, we're aside from the command stands, we're sticking to a pretty homogeneous like green accent color. But when it comes to the heavy units, which is like based around purple in my 100 Kingdoms army, I mean the Steel Legion are a bit of an exception because I painted them first, but for the Gilded Legion and for the Hunter Cadre, which is weird to bring them in because they're a medium, not a heavy, esoteric conquest point to make there. But point is, I want to, like, with those more elite veteran units, I want to add a lot more color variation. Also, who was asking about brushes earlier? Cup de Jello, if you're still here. It's like this brush here is very bad at holding a tip, but it is like nice and big. And so for painting this early blocking in, I know it'll have enough of a tip that I can avoid the armor I need to. So I'm kind of using it for now just because we're in like a base coating stage pretty early in as well. And one of the main advantages I see here is that the paint doesn't dry up on the brush as fast, and I don't have to go back to the wet palette to refill as much. Alright, those are red. What other areas might I want to paint red? We kind of have like, I think I paint this as armor, and then this is cloth. I think we do that red, because that's where the red balance needs to be right now. Which means we'll have to put some matching red on the other side, even though it's a different arm and we'll have different sleeve details. Oh, this is such a nice change of pace after all that washing, let me tell you. Yeah, this part I should probably switch to a different brush. But I'm gonna use the stuff that's on the brush now. Yeah, especially for under the arm here. Just gonna put some on there now, so I know what to do with it later. And yes, the details of the inside of this shield are another tricky question, and I'm not sure what I'm gonna do about it. First of all, switch to a precise brush. I'm not gonna go for the most precise brush, we're just gonna go for the almost precise brush. And this like a little ribbon detail in the shield, that I look at it and right away I'm like, I want that to be red, so that's what we're gonna do. Now, I don't really want to introduce green onto the palette of this particular model. And you know, the other big detail on this shield is what is the wreath there. The only other color that I think I can get away with that is gold, so we'll leave that gold. And does that mean we paint the rim of the shield silver? No. Well, we'll paint that kind of middle spear detail. Sorry, I should hold that closer to the camera. The middle, like, spear detail, I think that is silver. I don't know, those are questions for later. We're still kind of in red painting mode. We'll finish up the sleeves that we were working on earlier before we got distracted, and now I have the hiccups. I think this is a man-at-arms shoulder / bicep. And of course this is very obscured detail, so all I'm really worrying about is one good base coat at the beginning, and hopefully don't have to touch it much after that. The other sleeve is a bit more visible, which works out because it's a much nicer sculpted piece. It's from the Mounted Squire. Yeah, the shoulder pad is from the Gilded Legion kit. The arm itself is from Mounted Squires. Probably had to chop up the ball joint a bit to get it to fit. It's where those single-bladed Disbay nippers come in handy so often for kit bashing. Alright, I think that's an appropriate amount of red for now. And now I see this guy and I'm like, oh, 100% red hat. So it's back to this one for a hot second here. I could paint the kind of face cowl red. I kind of like the idea of that, actually. I'm gonna do that before I forget. Sorry if I just really teased you there with the fellow who has the great sword plate armor, but also for some reason a cowboy hat and a unicorn trumpet. This area is just a little bit tricky to pick out here. Gotta concentrate. And of course this paint is thin enough that I kind of need to do a second coat. We're going to be touching this part up inevitably as well because we're going to have to paint that recessed face detail. And with enough of this guy's face visible, it's going to be front and center in the unit. We got to make sure it looks nice. We're going to have to put in the work. The 100 Kingdoms, the army, where I was like, well, I don't like painting faces and I'm bad at it, but this army will make me get good at it, or force me to at least get competent at it. Spilled a bit onto the armor there. I think I can fix it. Where did it even happen? Okay. Alright. We'll have to go back and clean that up later anyways. Now we'll paint that cowboy hat. Yeah, in terms of beginner factions painting wise, 100 Kingdoms is on the trickier side to paint. Especially compared to Spires, I'd say. Spires were like challenging to paint at first because I just hadn't painted much like it. So figuring out how I wanted to pick out the details. But they're now that the scheme is figured out, they're much more speed paint friendly, even though I know I always say I can't speed paint. Painting them still faster than with the 100 Kingdoms. If I plan on doing some Gunpla for Odafest next year, one of the things that might get in the way of that is if the Conquest rules update that's happening in January supposedly, where they're gonna update the Spires, makes them really fun to play. I might just go full Spires and paint that instead for events. That's enough for the first coat. Him Horn, that's right. This Unicorn Horn is a Warhammer Fantasy High Elf bit. Just the hand is... I don't remember if the hand is part of it or whether I glued it on after or not. It's been a while. Okay, red hat. We aren't doing red sleeves. I think I do red gambeson, is that what that's called perhaps? The padded skirt bit, which I assume is like an overcoat that just trails down to the thighs, which I believe is a gambeson. Where's the medieval fashion expert when you need them? Alright, it doesn't have to be medieval fashion, maybe medieval armor expert would be a better guess. Okay, Gambeson's done. We could paint. Let's see, it won't be the sleeves. I think the rest has to be... No, I'll do red on the sword. And then the rest of the details will be purple. Or we could do just the sleeves be red. And then the sword could be purple and it'll kind of match the other Steel Legion. I'm having a dilemma now. I gotta decide before the paint on the brush dries. I think less purple is better. Yeah, okay, we're gonna go... Here is gonna be where the red goes. The sword will go purple. It can be the same as the other Steel Legion. Got a bit of red onto the armor there that I was scrubbing up. Did it again. Well, looks like we're in need of a camera reset. Hopefully that hasn't been going on for too long. And I think we're definitely gonna need to do a purple gem on this unicorn beagle as well. Okay, that's enough red on this one. Let's reset the camera. You know, resetting the camera's just become part of the natural workflow at this point. Okay, this one we got some red on it before. I think there's just a couple other parts that are gonna need it. Well, the border of the cape's definitely gonna be purple. So we're gonna do... I think... I think I need to decide the front cloth first. Whether that's going to be red or purple. Whether I want it to be the same as up here. I know the pants are going to be red and purple for sure, so I'll start with that. And perhaps the next decision will come to me in the process. Yes, I mean, learning how to camera good is just like learning how to paint good, I suppose. Like any skill. Everything's just hobbies. You just never stop picking up hobbies, that's life. Not a bad life, I'd say. What is bad, though, is not having enough time to do all the hobbies you want. That's just a part of life, though. Ah, yes, the infamous part of the pants where the lines just disappear. Build a bit onto the knee pad there. Oh, this knee pad that I definitely should have painted silver. We can do that later though. think I want to paint that tassel purple. Okay, so I think there definitely isn't enough white on here. The question is, will there be too much white if both of these are white? And the answer is, I think so. So I'll do that one white and this one purple. And this will be purple as well. So that means that's all the... Oh, we got the sleeves too. We got the sleeves. Up top, the sleeves on the other ones are white, so I don't want to do them white on here. So... yeah, purple sleeves, purple there, white. Alright, we got one more to do the red on. Okay, so... oh, interesting. They got similar ribbons. We don't want the ribbons to be red. I need to look at a reference photo for another one with pants like this that I painted. Should only take a minute to find. Ah, yes. Would have been... okay, here's the reference. So I want to do the opposite of this, so we're going to do red trim. Which is like, doesn't make sense to paint it first, but red is what's on the palette. There is no purple on the palette. And we're in the red stage right now. So we're just going to do it and tidy it up later. And then we're gonna, the inside of this, we're gonna go with white actually. We're gonna give this one some white red skirt thing. And then the ribbons in front, or whatever you call them, the traily bits. Yeah, this is really just blocking in the red, because in order to get the white blocked in here properly, it's gonna be a bit of a pain. It'll be worth it though, it'll look very fancy. Also, I haven't pointed it out in this stream, but I have pointed out in other streams, but this one is also a Kipash with a high elf fantasy sword for Warhammer Fantasy. Who says that the different scales means you can't Kipash them? Look at me. Okay, so sleeves on this one, we gotta determine, so we got some white on there already. That'll be enough white in combination with the skirt. So don't need more white. I think we'll do the trim of these trailing bits red as well. We only got one sleeve here, so we're gonna do that purple. I'm just gonna like kind of half-ass paint the trim on these now, just so I remember the color blocking. Alright, I could switch to the gray and like reactivate some on the palette right now, but it ain't going anywhere. It's been a while since I painted purple, so I want to paint some purple. And we'll just keep at it with the same brush. And for the purple, we got royal purple, old game color royal purple as our base. I think we're gonna pop that right here. Where's the edge of the paper anyways? Okay, that's almost too much I put on there. We're exploding a little bit. I squeezed and shook the bottle too much. Again. Okay, I do have a bottle of the new stuff of this, so if I just wasted a bunch of paint, it's fine. I did check the new stuff, the formula is close enough. Okay, we're gonna have to get our get some good use out of this purple here. Yeah, this brush is still fine. Let's go back to this lad. too thin, I think. Alright. This is a nice, strong purple. Painting with purple, one of my favorite ways to paint. I find just usually when I'm working with purples, I'm having a good time. I don't know what it is exactly. Hello, son of the salt vampire. Thanks for coming. Are you a Conquest enjoyer? Not country fried mayonnaise. They're not gold. They're model color bronze. But genuinely, thank you. I'm just trying to, I know on your... Do you have a name for your fans? The country fried minis gang. Maybe fans is like, not the term I'm looking for, just your crew. I was just trying to make a reference for them, you know? What faction do you play, Son of the Salt Vampire? I'm assuming you play, that is. Interesting. We got, okay, this one's definitely gonna be purple. You know, the good old household guard pants, it's hard to tell where the stripes are supposed to start and end sometimes. Yeah, good thing I still have some red on the palette because there's a spot we missed. Yeah, that's always a struggle when you can't convince your friends to play the non-Games Workshop minis game with you. I mean, what I had to do, I mean, I was, because of the pandemic, I had kind of been disconnected from my original War Machine and Hordes gaming group. And like the friends I did play, or the other friends I did play tabletop with, it was mostly RPGs. So when I wanted to get into Conquest, I kind of was just like, well, I mean, when I first was getting the minis, I was still lockdown time, not lockdown, like COVID time, so lots of spending time inside and not going out of the house much anyways. But when it came time to get back into just like going to the third places to socialize, I knew with Conquest I'd just have to like join their Vanguard program and just like be that pillar that plants the flag. Which hasn't always been easy, but it's been very rewarding at times. But it's also like whether you can get a niche tabletop game going, also depends on like the area you're in. Like I happen to have a very good tabletop gaming store in my area. Battletech alone takes up all your non-YouTube time? Nice. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about Conquest. I'm like, you know, slowly cramming in some agnostic game knowledge when I can, or like Halo Flashpoint. But yeah, there's like, out of all the big war games, you usually only have the mental space for like one of them. In terms of like the one game you want to like hashtag get good at. Alright. Trim of the cape now. The ever so enjoyable stage. First time painting the trim on any of these capes purple. Every single one I've done has been white. Oh, this color combo is just so regal. truly is a treat for the eyes. Thanks for agreeing with me there. Although I'm trying to like, because I know the YouTube streams aren't doing the live chat replay anymore, so I was thinking, I was like, should I be saying out loud the chats I'm responding to for people watching the stream after the fact, so everything isn't just like weird and out of context? I think I'm overthinking it. Problem with putting too much purple on the palette like I did is it's going to encroach into some valuable palette real estate that it wouldn't be taken up otherwise. Worst case scenario, I just have to mop some of it up at the end of the session, so I don't have to worry about it drying and like spilling or bleeding into other areas, I should say. I don't know if it's still there for old streams, but when I was been setting up the stream today, I noticed in other weeks too, the checkbox for like the live chat replay, I couldn't, like it was unchecked and I couldn't check it. Ooh, the custodies with the gold and purple, love to see it. And yeah, it's not live replay they took out, it's just, or live replay of the chat, maybe that's what it's called, I can't remember the exact terminology they used. Honestly, with the streaming I'm doing right now, it feels more like a way to just help me get more painting done. It's like if I'm scheduling, can you call it a schedule when it's like 24 minutes before I start streaming? It's like just the point is like planning on streaming and then like doing it boosts my overall painting productivity, which is very needed right now. So I'm trying not to think too much about that. Am I doing the YouTube part of it right? Because believe me, I've worried enough about that in my life. And now the sleeve on this one, I think I had said earlier I was going to do it purple, so we're going to do that. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if streams overall have been suffering site-wide over the whole shorts thing. Do you just mean the overall pushing of shorts? Captain algorithms really deprioritize the live push. Yeah, YouTube just keeps going through phases where they're like, I gotta compete with this, and that's like, just kidding. You're doing that. Like, we gotta compete with real TV, or we gotta compete with Twitch. Seems like they're not trying to compete with Twitch as much. Yeah. Getting more painting done because of streams is far more valuable than any like YouTube related algorithmic reward anyways. Just trickily painting the inside of this arm. I'm glad I don't have one of those gatehouse shoulder pads here. The purple's a lot harder to clean up than the gray. Alright, I think that's all the purple on this guy for now. How long have we been streaming for? An hour 50? Not bad. I'm definitely gonna go for at least another 10 minutes. Okay, let's do Trumpet Man. And yeah, we got purple trim on the gambeson, purple trim on the sleeves, purple on the sword, purple on the gem. I think that's it. Yeah, we got way too much purple on the palette. Might have to use some up on the standard bearer or something who's not part of this batch, this current batch, the sub batch. He's part of the overall batch. I hope this isn't confusing. This zigzag is fairly satisfying to paint. And I'm messing up a little bit in terms of like spilling onto the other side of the detail, but that should be covered up by the wash. Let the wash do the cleaning there. Pun intended. Let's see if I can manage doing the trim of this trailing strap. Alright, not bad. Poiple, yeah, that's good. It took me a second there as with you spelling it that way. It is the best color. I should really switch my favorite color. Thing is, it's hard for me to pick a favorite color. When I was young, I would just say blue, but there's so many other good colors. Would I have more fully painted armies if I didn't enjoy painting trim so much? Do I really enjoy painting trim, or have I just gaslit myself into enjoying painting it? Because I've had to do so much of it. Maybe it's more that I just enjoy the results so much that I'm willing to suffer through a lot of trim painting. Now the other sleeve, I could try and pick out these details. I probably should try and pick out that little strip of chainmail. We'll see if we can swing by and grab that later in the metallic silver blocking stage. That'll probably be off stream. Alright, I think that's all the designated purple. Wait, no, we got blocking the gemstone real quick. That'll be our last little dash purple. Oh yes, and the sword, how could I forget? Silly me. This is just the same thing I do with the swords on all the Steel Legion. With the exception of some Steel Legion swords that have been incorporated into kit bashes. I think that's just one of them so far. You know, I got a lot of Steel Legion in my collection, which means I got a lot of extra Steel Legion swords and sword arms. And a lot of Steel Legion bodies used in kit bashes for other regiments and retinues. Alright. Oh, little tiny piece I missed. One sec. Just on the inside bit with the hand. Alright. Now this one What did we say again? White, and then white on the inside, so purple on the trailing bits. Green with yellow stripes on the shields. Yeah, there's a player in Province with me that has a very nice... I can't remember how much yellow in it, but like a very striking green 100 Kingdoms army. And then the sleeve purple, I think that was the only other purple bit that was going to be on here. It is very liberating feeling, being able to like just... You know, I'm painting all these the same set of colors, but the way the colors are blocked onto each mini is like just a little bit different. It's pretty neat, let me tell you. Perhaps that'd be all the purple going on this here guy. I could do purple handle of the sword, just a little tiny bit of it showing there. Just a little bit. I think, yeah, this is just like the sword pommel and sword hilt were snipped off the other model and then just brute force glued on here until it looked straight enough. Mayhem style. Alright. This one... what did I say again? The trim, okay, we did we do purple? Okay. Right, so this one we did purple trim, so we gotta make this one be the purple, the gambeson the padded cloth bit is gonna be purple. Good enough is good enough. Done is good enough too. Most of the time, that is. Kind of feel like I need to just do an overall hydration of the purple on the palette after I'm done painting this gambus in here, because I feel like that we might be getting a skin layer developing on top just from the slow drying. Yeah, there definitely is a skin forming there. Good thing I thought of this. Just gotta make sure I don't paint any clumps from that skin onto any minis. Also, our water is looking dangerously tasty right now. Alright, so I gotta go back to thinking about... Okay, I think we'll do the border, the shield silver, along with the spear there. So the wreath can remain gold. And see, there's this weird kind of like almost stretched looking bit here. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be like cloth. We could do all that purple and then like this part can just shine gold. No, that doesn't quite make sense either. The part could be white. I think we're gonna do like the main recessed area of the shield purple either way though. And I gotta be real, we're just gonna kind of not think about ruining that gold work on the wreath. We're just gonna, it's more important to like fill in the base layer, so we're just gotta accept that we're cleaning up that gold later, you know, with our model color bronze of all things. the base coat. It's just, I just keep pointing out how it's ironic that it's called bronze. Thankfully this purple has really good coverage, so if we need to do a second coat at all, it's going to be minimal. I mean, I guess I could paint this bit white, then paint this kind of last side area. You know what, I think I need to look at a quick reference image, because this shield is from the Mounted Noble Lord, I believe. I'll be quick. Oh, I hope there's a good picture with like the angle of the sword or shield showing. Oh, it's kind of tricky. Okay. Go to Parabellum's website quick. Hold this guy so the camera can actually focus. That's not the shield. Okay, one more check, and then otherwise I'm just gonna wing it. I'm gonna look at Household Knights. It's, you know, their early photography, so they don't have super extensive angles of everything. Okay, we're just gonna wing it. Now the question is this trailing bit. I think I gotta paint it white. I think otherwise there isn't enough white. And then I think these kind of recessed areas underneath will do purple. Yeah, white is definitely the right call, like color balance wise. And the edge here we're gonna be painting silver, so, or the border, I should say. All right. Now I need to use up the rest of this purple. Thankfully we got a whole ass banner here that needs to get a bunch of purple on it. And we'll have to be somewhat precise about it. And because we have another one of these banners that's in the army painted already, that one has the same main purple color in the same spot, but the white, or the trim is white instead of red. Ah, dang, that was a little overzealous on that swipe there, a bit too much paint spilled over. The wash will probably conceal that though. Yeah, mostly just gotta be careful around the jewelry here. And again, red, gold, blue, chef's kiss. Alright. When you're starting and there's a big glob of paint, you don't want to paint near the edges. You want to use that glob up and then just kind of spread it out. And kind of just doing that across this whole section, just working it all across while it's still wet. Gotta be careful I don't accidentally rip up a layer that's like kind of started drying and formed a skin. And I painted that other Steel Legion banner a pretty long time ago now. So this one will also probably end up looking a bit different just because of like difference in painting skill or like painting approach to these minis. Now this brush's tip is a little hooked and it's not the most finest tip, but in terms of doing this like straight forward edge here between the fringe and the cloth, it's perfectly acceptable. Oh, banners are always tedious, but such showstoppers in the end. Now for these areas in the middle here, I might need to switch over to the more precise brush. But what's cool is the back of this doesn't have the red fringe painted, so we can just relax a little bit while painting this bit. What time are oh, we're at 2:09 already. That time just flew. I don't want to push myself too hard. So I don't think I'm going to get to finish up all the purple paint on the palette. But I'm at least going to finish doing what I started on the back here. In terms of the streams, the 100 Kingdoms streams after this, I want to say I'm feeling like doing at least 2 more before I feel the need to have the next stuff that's streamed be a different project. That might mean there's like a longer break between streaming projects because I won't want to start a new one until like this batch of the 100 Kingdoms is done, but never say never. Maybe I'll do the fabled thing where I have 2 wet palettes going at the same time. I'm just switching between 2 whole different projects instead of switching between minis within one project. Are you hitting the flow state, Country Fried Minis? I hope. I mean, you've been here since the beginning of this stream, so I hope it's been a good hobby companion for you. Boosted productivity, perhaps. That area in there is getting a little tricky. Let's just put a bit more on the front. Alright. Basing, priming, and making a short? That's a lot. Basing and priming almost feel like the same stage, but not quite. Hope I didn't just splash some water there. Okay. Sitting at the PC with the PPE still on. Nice, I like it. Gotta stay safe. Your raptors are doing well as a result of the stream. Son of the Salt Vampire. Do you mean like raptor riders from Conquest or a different kind of raptor? Alright, I'm just gonna slop a bit of purple onto these 3 Steel Legion grunts, and I'm gonna wrap up the stream because we're almost at 2 hours 15 minutes. And it's a work night. This also kind of counts as work. It's much different than the work. Heck, I might make a whole 20 cents ad revenue off these stream views. Woo! It's not why I'm doing it. Obviously, we already mentioned it's mostly for painting productivity, it feels like. Oh, sorry, we're not in focus there. Ah, Chaos Marine Raptors. You know, I think that's what I first thought of. I should have just led with that. Alright, and some sleeves. It's nice to be at a point with a lot of the 100 Kingdom stuff, like more Steel Legion or more Men-at-Arms, is like I kind of just have the paint recipe memorized at this point. Much different than what it was like with the Spire's Army. That was like memorized right away. Because, you know, it's the Spires. Well, I mean, maybe you don't know. I got videos about that. Oh, I forgot the sword on that last one. Alright, sword done. Oh, this one's got the exact same sword arms. The ones with the extra drapey arm cloths, whatever. I don't know. They probably have some special fancy name for the Steel Legion. It seems very ceremonial. You're very welcome, Country Fried Minis and Son of the Salt Vampire. Okay, that's all the purple on that one for now. Got a bit of red on the palette I could still use too. But I think I'll just save that for after stream. Oh, I got a nice gloop of paint. I'm just going to remove that from the palette preemptively there. Almost thought it was a hair for a second, the way it was trailing. Sorry if that grosses you out. Back when I had a beard, I got accidental hairs painted into things way more often. Glad that's over. Now it's just the occasional eyelash. Oh, sorry, I don't know how long the camera was out of focus there. Alright, well, we're just about wrapping up the stream for tonight. The next stream, well, the next stream that I will commit to doing will be a daytime stream on Friday or Saturday. If I'm feeling just super full of paint and juice energy, you'll got a Friday and a Saturday one. We'll see. Alright. Well, thank you all for coming to another stream as I work to finish my fancy 100 Kingdoms army. And it's gonna be at least, I'll say it'll be at least 2 more streams for the 100 Kingdoms. That sounds about right, about what coverage I want. Alright. Hope everyone has a good night, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again.